I mean, they weren't assholes. They were nice men, but they were hardcore.
Sam Elliott's voice didn't just echo through time. It branded itself into American culture. That deep, rugged growl, full of grit and wisdom, is instantly recognizable the second you hear it. Behind that iconic mustache, the wide-brimmed hats, and his slow, confident walk, there's a man who lived the part long before Hollywood came calling. But there's a side of Sam most fans never imagined, a quiet storm he's been holding in for decades. For all the love and respect he's earned across his 6-decade career, there are 6 actors he's never forgiven. Some disrespected the craft, others crossed him in ways he never spoke about, until now. At 80 years old, Sam finally dropped the cowboy charm and started calling names, and once you hear who's on his blacklist, you'll never see these stars the same way again. And first up, the one actor who pushed Sam so far, he walked off a set and never looked back. Kevin Costner, the so-called cowboy, was one man Sam Elliott just couldn't stand. Sam built his whole career on being authentic. Every role he took came from truth, sweat, and raw experience. He didn't pretend to be a cowboy. He was one. Raised around ranch life, he lived the early mornings, the dust, the discipline, and the long silence of the open West. When Sam walked on screen, you could feel it. His presence was real, rugged, and heavy with history, like you could smell the leather in his voice and see every mile of hard living in his eyes. So when Kevin Costner showed up playing a cowboy in Wyatt Earp and later the proud patriarch in Yellowstone, Sam wasn't buying it, not even close. Costner, to him, was Hollywood's polished version of the West. Clean boots, perfect lighting, and not a drop of dirt on his hands. It was movie star cowboying, not the kind you earn through grit and years of real ranch dust. Sam once told a close friend he plays a rancher like it's dress-up, saying Costner was basically pretending to live a life he'd never known. And while millions fell in love with Yellowstone, the drama, the landscapes, the heavy dialogue, Sam just rolled his eyes. He didn't see the real West he grew up with. He saw a glossy fantasy made for people who've never strung a fence line or smelled cattle at sunrise. The whole thing looked like a polished postcard, nice for the eye, but fake to the bone. Even some crew insiders said Sam was offered a cameo on Yellowstone and flat out refused it, calling the show a soap opera with a cowboy hat. That rejection wasn't just about the script, it was a statement, a sharp, no-nonsense message that Sam wasn't buying into the Hollywood version of the West. For Elliott, Westerns were sacred, built on grit, silence, and raw strength. His heroes didn't need long speeches. They let their eyes and actions do the talking. But to Sam, Kevin Costner turned that code into something flashy and polished. Big budgets, big lights, and no real soul behind it. And when the two shared the same space, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. One producer even said, "They never yelled, but the chill between them could freeze a desert." But that cold energy? It was just the beginning. Because next on Sam's list, Benedict Cumberbatch, the man Sam once said was way too British for the West. Back in 2021, Elliott shocked fans in the industry when he ripped into the power of the dog. No sugarcoating, no fake smiles, just blunt, unfiltered honesty, delivered like the crack of a saloon door in a quiet town. His words landed like a punch, quick, sharp, and impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a critique of pacing or cinematography, it got personal. Sam zeroed in on Cumberbatch himself, tearing apart his accent, his body language, and what he called a prissy take on a Western rancher. And Sam didn't hide behind polite press statements or edited sound bites. He let it fly, straight and fierce. He even dropped the line that blew up the internet. I mean, what the hell does this Brit know about the American West? You could feel the fire behind every word. During that podcast, Sam's tone was tight with disbelief, like he couldn't wrap his head around what Hollywood was trying to sell as a Western. People came for Sam hard, accusing him of guarding the Western genre like it was his personal kingdom. Critics said he was stuck in the past, clinging to an old-school version of toughness and trying to keep new voices from stepping into the light. But Sam didn't flinch, not once. No apology, no PR cleanup, no "let's smooth things over." He stood his ground like a man carved out of stone, sure of his truth and not about to bend for anyone. To Sam, the power of the dog didn't just miss the soul of the West, it flat out disrespected it. He felt the film twisted what masculinity meant, turning quiet strength into something fragile and theatrical. In his mind, Western men weren't supposed to talk big, they proved themselves through actions, not words. For him, this wasn't about tearing down one actor. It was about protecting a legacy built on grit, silence, and wisdom that ran deeper than any script could capture. Benedict Cumberbatch never fired back publicly, but word inside the industry was that Sam's comments stung. Insiders whispered that studio execs debated whether to release a subtle statement to calm things down, but Cumberbatch chose the high road, silence over a full-blown media storm. Meanwhile, Sam stood firm like a gunslinger who'd already taken his 10 paces, drawn his weapon, and fired without hesitation. For Sam, the West wasn't just a look. It wasn't about a cowboy hat, a filter, or a Hollywood trend. It was a way of life, built on truth, earned through sweat and experience. He wasn't about to let anyone, no matter how famous or talented, rewrite what generations before him built with their bare hands. And if folks didn't like the way he defended that tradition, he wasn't losing an ounce of sleep over it. But then came the next name, the one that really shocked people, Ashton Kutcher. Sam believed Ashton didn't just disrespect the craft, he embarrassed it. To Sam, acting was sacred, something forged through patience, discipline, and emotional honesty. It wasn't supposed to be a popularity contest or a launch pad for tech ventures and flashy fame. Every role, in his eyes, had to be earned, built from something raw and real. So when Ashton blew up from that 70s show, sliding into rom-coms and soaking up Silicon Valley attention, Sam wasn't impressed. He was irritated. To him, it felt like watching someone cut the line at a rodeo where respect was supposed to be earned step by step. Sam didn't hate success. He just couldn't stand shortcuts. Behind the cameras, the calm started to crack. Crew members said you could feel the tension, thick, heavy, and hanging in the air. Even when everything looked chill, Sam would quietly vent between takes, shaking his head and mumbling under his breath. He's a decent guy, but no real actor. It wasn't Ashton's personality that rubbed him wrong. It was what he represented. To Sam, Kutcher symbolized the new Hollywood, where algorithms ruled over instinct, follower counts mattered more than resumes, and charm got mistaken for talent. To Sam, that wasn't progress. It was a downfall. He saw the art of storytelling getting watered down by shortcuts, surface-level ideas, and slick branding over substance. Fans thought the on-screen chemistry between the two meant they were close, but Sam knew better. It was just acting, nothing personal. Ashton played the part of the respectful co-star in interviews, calling Sam a legend and even praising him as a mentor. But Sam wasn't handing those compliments back. Behind closed doors, he was heard saying, "He's acting like a guy who learned acting from YouTube." And he meant every word. It wasn't bitterness, it was standards. Sam had guarded those standards his entire career, treating acting like a craft, not a trend. He felt Hollywood was losing its soul, replacing depth and truth with numbers, noise, and the quick buzz of attention. So while the ranch looked warm and brotherly to fans, behind the scenes, Sam didn't feel that bond. It was all surface-level tolerance, nothing more. No hate, no drama, just a quiet distance that said everything without a word. Then came another name on Sam's silent list, Nicolas Cage. To Sam, Cage was too loud, too wild, and a world away from the kind of energy he respected. Sam believed real power in acting didn't come from yelling or throwing yourself around. It came from control. A look that lingered one beat too long, a silence heavy enough to say everything without needing to shout. That's what made a performance unforgettable in his eyes. So when Nicolas Cage burst into fame with his wild, unpredictable energy, the wide-eyed stares, the sudden explosions of emotion, the chaotic intensity, Sam didn't see genius. He saw disorder. To him, Cage wasn't becoming a character. He was putting on a spectacle that swallowed the whole room. Every scene felt like a one-man circus instead of a story, and Sam wanted no part of that chaos. Sam stayed professional, no question about that, but warm, not even close. Behind the camera, there was respect, sure, but no real spark of friendship. In later interviews, he dodged names with skill, but his words carried blades. He spoke about actors who hogged the spotlight, turning every scene into their own personal stage show, louder, flashier, and desperate to be the biggest thing in the room. His close friends didn't need a hint spelled out. They already knew he was talking about Nicolas Cage. Sam once confided to a buddy, "He's more firework than flame, big bang, no heat." And that one line said everything. While Cage built a loyal fan base off his wild, unpredictable performances, Sam stuck by his old-school code, acting that was slow, grounded, and rich with truth. Sam believed the real power of performance wasn't about making people jump, it was about pulling them in. Cage, in his eyes, represented a dangerous shift in modern cinema, a hunger for shock over story, and a culture hooked on flashy chaos instead of real emotion. Sure, critics loved Cage's so-called brilliantly unhinged style, showering him with praise and trophies, but Sam wasn't fooled for a second. To him, no award could hide what he saw as hollow theatrics. Real acting, Sam believed, came from within, from stillness, from truth, from something human you couldn't fake. And to Sam, Cage had left that kind of honesty behind long ago. But the name that really hurt, the one that cut deeper than all the rest, was Jeff Bridges. This wasn't about rivalry or ego. This one was personal. Jeff wasn't just another actor to Sam. He was a brother in arms. Back in the day, people saw them as cut from the same steel, rugged, soulful, and authentic to the core. They didn't need shouting matches or big gestures to own a scene. Their power lived in quiet moments, in glances that said more than words ever could. When they teamed up on the cult classic The Big Lebowski, their chemistry was legendary. It wasn't just movie magic, it was real connection. Off-screen, they shared deep talks, long laughs, and a friendship that looked unbreakable, built on respect and a shared love for raw, honest storytelling. After Jeff Bridges snagged his Oscar for Crazy Heart, Sam started noticing small shifts that spoke volumes. The man who once carried himself with that easy, grounded humility began showing up in glossy magazine spreads, decked out in designer suits, flashing bold political messages, and striking carefully staged poses that screamed image over essence. Those laid-back conversations turned into polished press tours, more branding than heart. A source close to Sam revealed that Jeff became harder to reach, harder to read, and more tangled in the Hollywood machine than ever before. To Sam, it felt like the raw honesty that once defined Jeff had been traded for a sleek, camera-ready version of himself. The simple code they'd once shared, let the work speak louder than the fame, was fading under the weight of celebrity polish and media gloss. Then came that rare, quiet interview. When Sam was asked about people he'd worked with, he didn't drop any names, but he didn't need to. He just leaned back and said, "Some folks change." 3 small words, but they hit like a thunderclap. Then he added, "Others just show who they always were." Everyone in the room knew exactly who that line was aimed at: Jeff Bridges. Many saw it as a clean shot, subtle but sharp. And even though Jeff never clapped back, staying calm, cool, and diplomatic like he always did, the silence between them spoke louder than any public feud ever could. The two stopped showing up at the same film festivals, stopped lifting each other up in interviews, and stopped being those two Hollywood veterans who once moved like brothers, both on and off the screen. For Sam, the pain didn't come from jealousy or ego. It went deeper. It wasn't about trophies or political talk. It was about loyalty, about trust. He felt the quiet unraveling of a bond that once stood strong, a bond built on shared respect, old values, and mutual truth. To him, the connection that used to feel solid and real had slowly cracked, leaving behind a silence that carried more weight than words ever could. Only a handful of people around Sam noticed the shift, but those who did said it hit him hard. Insiders whispered that Sam didn't feel betrayed. He felt left behind, like the friend he once stood shoulder to shoulder with had drifted off into a world that didn't look or feel like theirs anymore. That kind of distance doesn't explode. It lingers, heavy and quiet. And Sam carried that ache like a man used to scars, silent, but never forgotten. But even that heartbreak with Jeff didn't prepare Sam for the final name on his quiet blacklist, the one he never thought he'd have to call out: Jared Leto. The method-acting wild card who, in Sam's eyes, turned dedication into pure chaos. To Sam Elliott, nothing kills the art faster than pretension. Not confidence, not hard work, but that loud, look-at-me energy that makes acting about the performer instead of the story. So when Jared Leto became famous for his extreme method antics, sending rats to co-stars, staying locked in character for weeks, and turning every set into a circus of emotion, Sam didn't see genius. He saw a gimmick. No matter how many headlines Leto grabbed or awards he stacked, Sam wasn't impressed. He was irritated. To him, it wasn't about art anymore. It was about attention. Sam once blasted that kind of method, acting as theatrics pretending to be talent, and he didn't whisper it behind closed doors. He told a close friend straight up, if he needs that much effort to act, maybe he's in the wrong profession, and he meant every syllable. To Elliott, great acting never needed shock tactics or viral behind-the-scenes stunts. It needed control, precision, humility, and truth. He believed the best performances came from disappearing into a role so deeply that no one even noticed the work. It shouldn't feel like a carnival. It should feel real, honest, human, and alive. Sam and Leto never actually shared a set, but insiders say they almost did. Sam was once attached to a film in early development. He liked the script, trusted the director, everything seemed right. But then came the news. Jared Leto had been cast. And just like that, Sam walked away. No press statement, no public shade, just a quiet exit that spoke volumes. That's how firm his line was drawn. To Sam, acting was never meant to be a loud circus. It was meant to be grounded, sincere, and driven by emotion that came from the soul, not social media headlines. Hearing Leto's name just reminded him how far Hollywood had drifted from the values that built his entire life's work. Now, at 80 years old, Sam Elliott isn't chasing roles or spotlight anymore. He's standing for truth, for tradition, for that raw, stripped-down honesty that made audiences believe in stories, not hype. To him, acting isn't about fame, it's about integrity. And if that makes him the last of a dying breed, he's just fine with that. And if standing by his truth means standing alone, Sam's got no problem doing it. In a world drowning in noise, filters, and fame-chasing chaos, Sam Elliott still moves like the last real cowboy. Calm, proud, and unshaken. He's not chasing trends or clout. He's guarding a code built on honesty, loyalty, and the kind of grit you can't fake. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Which of these Hollywood clashes shocked you the most? Do you think Sam went too far? Or was he just telling it straight, no sugarcoating? Let's hear it down below. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let the debate roll. If this story hit you with some truth, smash that like button. Share it with your friends and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into Hollywood's untold drama. See you in the next video.